We're all just drowning in information these days, aren't we? Skimming articles, reports. It's so easy. But how do we actually shift from just knowing facts to truly, truly understanding them? Making ideas stick and maybe even change how we think. Today, we're doing a deep dive into exactly that, the art of genuinely engaging with information. We're looking at some core principles, really, that can help you get more out of basically anything you read or hear to become not just informed, but, well, genuinely well-informed.
Yeah, it's about changing the whole dynamic, moving from just passively receiving stuff to something much more active, almost like a partnership with the source material. Think of it less like just downloading data and more like, well, like learning to navigate a landscape yourself, using the map, but also making your own decisions along the way.
Okay, let's unpack that. What is the real difference between just letting info wash over you, which I think we all do, scrolling feeds, half listening sometimes, and truly engaging?
Well, it's fascinating, that difference between being active and passive, right? Imagine playing catch. If one person's throwing, but the other's just standing there letting the ball bounce off them, that's not really communication, is it?
No, not really.
Both people need to be active. Throwing, catching, responding. Engaging with information is kind of similar. It needs effort from you, the receiver.
So it's not just about what the source says, but about what you do with it.
Exactly. That's the key. The main goal isn't just to collect facts like stamps. It's to genuinely increase your understanding. It's like pulling yourself up by your own intellectual bootstraps. If you finish reading an article or listening to something and your mind hasn't stretched even a little bit, or you haven't gained some new way of seeing things, then you haven't really engaged. The ideas haven't landed,
That brings up a really important question, I think. Is there a difference between engaging just to grab some facts versus engaging for that deeper understanding? I mean, sometimes I really do just need the quick facts for a meeting or something.
Oh, absolutely. There's a huge difference. You engage for information when you basically already get the gist of what someone's saying. You just need the specifics, the dates, the names, the figures. The framework is already there in your head.
Right, filling in the blanks.
Precisely. But engaging for understanding, that's different. You start from a point of, let's say, inequality. The communicator, the source, knows more than you do about that specific topic. Think about tackling a really complex scientific idea, maybe.
Yeah, or even a dense legal argument.
Right. Your goal isn't just to skim for facts. It's to actively pull yourself up to their level of understanding, to bridge that gap. And that's where the real learning happens, where your mind has to actively work to grasp something new.
Okay, so if we're aiming for that active understanding, that deeper level, what's the actual path? How do we get there? Are there steps?
Yeah, we can definitely think about it in terms of progressive levels, like climbing a ladder, maybe. Each rung builds on the last and gives you a better view.
The ladder to understanding. I like that.
So the first rung, level 1, is just basic comprehension. This is really foundational. Like when a child first learns to read, you're just figuring out what the symbols, the words, the basic sentences mean.
What they literally say.
Exactly. For most of us adults reading in our own language, this is pretty automatic. We don't even think about it. But if you're tackling something really technical or in a different language or full of dense jargon, you might find yourself back here, painstakingly piecing together the literal meaning of the words. That's the entire goal at this level.
Okay. Got the literal meaning, but that's just the start, right? What comes next?
Yeah.
It feels like we need, I don't know, a bigger picture before diving deep, like a quick look around.
You're absolutely right. That brings us neatly to level 2, the overview, or as you said, sort of getting the lay of the land. This level is all about efficiency, really. Understanding the general theme, the structure, without getting totally bogged down in every single detail just yet. And it has 2 key parts. First, there's what we could call systematic skimming or pre-engagement.
Pre-engagement. Okay.
Yeah. So before you really commit to a deep read, you do a quick smart scan. Look at the title, obviously. Any intro material, table of contents if it's there, chapter headings, section titles. Definitely check the conclusion or summary.
What does that give you?
It helps you grasp the overall scope. What's the main point the author is trying to get across? What kind of thing is this? Is it a practical how-to, a history, an argument? You're basically asking, what's the big picture here? What are the main building blocks?
Right, like looking at the forest before we start examining individual trees. Makes sense.
Exactly. And the second part of this level 2 is what we can call superficial engagement.
Superficial. That sounds bad.
Maybe the name isn't great, but the idea is sound. It means reading through the entire thing once, start to finish. But crucially, without stopping constantly to analyze every little point or look up every single word you don't know.
Just push through.
Yes. The goal is just to finish it, to get a general, even if it's imperfect, understanding of the whole thing. Don't let the tricky bits stop you in your tracks on this first pass. You're aiming for a sense of the overall unity, the main idea, even if bits are still fuzzy.
Ah, I see. So it's about getting momentum and seeing how it all hangs together first.
Precisely. It's about getting that initial continuous exposure to the whole argument or narrative. I remember trying to learn a new coding language once,
Mm-hmm.
and I kept getting stuck on page 1 of the tutorial, trying to understand every single command perfectly. It was paralysis.
Same there.
Then I just forced myself to quickly read through the whole introductory guide, just superficially. Suddenly, the context started making sense. It felt wrong at first, but it saved me so much time.
That's a great example. Okay, so superficial reading first.
Mhm.
Get the lay of the land. Now, we've done the prep work. How do we actually, you know, get our hands dirty? Where does the real intellectual work happen?
Indeed. Now we climb to level 3, deep understanding, or what we can call critical engagement. This is where the heavy lifting happens. It's a systematic, really active approach, not just understanding, but also evaluating. And it breaks down into 3 stages.
Okay, 3 stages. What's first?
First, you have to focus on grasping the whole. Understand the material's overall unity, its structure. What is the single main point the creator is trying to get across? What's the core message? And then, what are the major parts, the main arguments or sections, and how do they connect? How do they support that main point? Think of it like creating a mental X-ray, seeing the skeleton of the argument or the narrative.
A mental X-ray. I like that visualization. So even if I'm reading, say, a complicated report, I'm looking for that core problem, the main proposed solution, the key evidence, that structure.
Exactly. Before you get lost in the details of paragraph 3, you see how it fits into the bigger picture.
Okay, that makes sense. But what if the material feels messy? Like some stuff online, it feels intentionally fragmented or even misleading sometimes. How do you find the whole then?
That's a really sharp question. And it shows why this stage is vital. Even with messy stuff, you're still trying to figure out the intended whole, or maybe you identify that there isn't a coherent whole. If something seems designed to mislead, understanding its whole might actually mean spotting its hidden agenda, or its logical jumps, or where it conveniently leaves things out. You're analyzing the system, even if the system is flawed or chaotic.
Ah, okay. So you identify the structure or lack thereof. Then what?
Then stage 2 is understanding the specifics. Now you zoom in. You clarify the creator's specific message. This really means coming to terms with their language. What are the absolute key words or concepts they're using? And how are they defining them? Sometimes words have multiple meanings.
Right, need to be on the same page.
Exactly. And what are the main claims? The key propositions or arguments being put forward. You're pinpointing the crucial sentences, the core assertions the creator wants you to accept or at least consider seriously. This often means slowing right down, really digging into the precise meaning of those important terms and statements.
Got it. Understand the whole structure, then understand the key specific points and terms. What's the final stage of this deep dive?
The third stage is critical reflection. Now that you're confident you truly understand what is being said and how it's structured, now you can evaluate it.
The judgment part.
Right. But informed judgment, you ask, is this true? Based on my knowledge, based on other sources, is it complete? Are there gaps? What does this all mean? What are the implications? You form your own reasoned judgments. But it's crucial here. You don't just accept or reject based on gut feeling. You need to be able to justify why. It requires fairness. Don't just argue for the sake of arguing. And try to separate what the creator actually knows, what they can support with evidence from what they just believe or speculate on.
So you need solid reasons for agreeing or disagreeing.
Yes. Real insight comes from being able to articulate why you hold a certain view about the material.
Okay, this whole 3-level process makes a lot of sense conceptually, but how do we actually do it? What are some practical tools or techniques to make this happen, to really become that engaged learner?
Great question. There are definitely concrete things you can do. One of the most fundamental is marking up the material, if you can.
I mean, like highlighting.
Highlighting, yes, but more than that. Underlining key sentences. Circling really crucial words or phrases. Maybe putting numbers in the margin to track steps in an argument. And definitely writing your own notes, questions, or reactions right there in the margins.
How does that help specifically?
It makes reading active, not passive.
Mm.
It forces you to make judgments about what's important. It helps you track the argument's flow. And maybe most importantly, it turns the text into a record of your own thinking process as you engage with it.
Okay, marking up. What else?
Building on that, you can develop a more systematic approach to note making. We can think about maybe 3 useful types of notes. First, structural notes. This is where you basically outline the material. You map out the main parts and how they relate. It's like making that X-ray visible on paper.
The skeleton again.
Exactly. Second, conceptual notes. Here, you identify and maybe define the core concepts, the big ideas, the main propositions the author is making, ensuring you really grasp those. And third, probably the most advanced, are dialectical notes.
Dialectical, what does that mean here?
It means putting the ideas in conversation. You ask critical questions in your notes, you jot down your own answers or insights. Crucially, you might compare the author's viewpoint with others you've encountered. You could literally write down a mini dialogue. Author says X here, but source Y argues Z. Is there a hidden assumption in X? Or maybe Z is missing this piece.
So you're actively debating with the text or between texts in your notes.
Precisely. It's about fostering that critical conversation in your own mind.
Wow, okay. Marking up, structural notes, conceptual notes, dialectical notes. Anything else?
Yes, one more really important element. Connecting to experience. It's vital to consciously relate what you're learning back to your own life, your existing knowledge base, your personal experiences.
How does that work without just making it all about me and missing the author's point?
Good point. It's not about being subjective in a way that distorts the message. It's about integration. When you connect a new idea to something you already know or have experienced, you weave it into your existing mental framework. It makes the learning stickier, more meaningful, more, well, yours. It gives it context in your world.
That makes a lot of sense, it sounds like. Well, honestly, it sounds like quite a bit of work compared to just reading normally.
It definitely is more effort up front, no doubt about it.
But I guess also much more rewarding, like the difference between passively watching a sport and actually playing it.
That's a great analogy. It is like an intellectual workout. And that brings us to the idea of forming a habit. Engaging deeply, like this is truly an art, or maybe a skill, like learning to ski or play an instrument.
It takes practice.
It takes practice, absolutely, and consistent effort. And sometimes, yeah, you'll stumble. You'll try to analyze something and feel like you're not getting it. That's normal. Initially, it might feel a bit awkward, maybe even slow. But if you keep applying these techniques, they start to become second nature, more automatic. You find yourself asking these questions, making these connections, almost without thinking about the levels. It becomes how you naturally approach information.
So, pulling this all together,
Sure.
What's the big takeaway for us, for you listening?
I think the main thing is this. True understanding is never just handed to you. It's not a passive gift from the communicator. It's always, always an achievement by the learner. By you, it's about taking responsibility for your own understanding, actively participating in that process. The more you consciously put in using these kinds of techniques, the more you will genuinely get out. You'll gain clarity, deeper insights, and frankly, a much richer intellectual life. It's a shift from passive reception to active personal growth.
What a fascinating journey we've taken, really moving from just seeing words on a page or screen to truly interacting with ideas. It feels like it changes everything about how we handle information. The core lesson really isn't just about how to read better, is it? It's about mastering the very craft of understanding itself.
If you think about the bigger picture, in this world just overflowing with constant information, some good, some bad, some complex, this ability to actively engage, to clarify ideas, to evaluate them critically, it's not just a nice-to-have skill anymore, is it?
No, it feels essential.
It really is. For personal growth, for navigating complexity in your job, in society, everywhere, it empowers you to be a much more thoughtful, insightful participant in any conversation, any field you're interested in.
So the challenge for all of us then is next time you pick up an article or watch that documentary or even just listen closely in a meeting,
Yeah.
ask yourself, am I just passively letting this flow past me? Or am I actively trying to understand, maybe using some of these levels we talked about? I know I'm thinking about how often I've read something online, and later, all I really remember is the headline, maybe one vague point.
Yeah.
This whole framework really challenges what it means to consume versus engage. We really hope this deep dive encourages you listening right now to become a more demanding, in a good way, and a more effective learner in all parts of your life.
Definitely.
And maybe a final provocative thought to leave you with. Think about one piece of information you've come across recently, maybe an article or report, even a challenging email. What might happen if you went back to it and consciously applied these levels of engagement, the overview, the specifics, the critical reflection? What new layer of understanding might you unlock? Go try it.